Welcome to the SBLive Football Show. I'm Connor Morrissette alongside the coach, Rob Mendez. Rob, thank you so much for joining me. We'll be talking football all season long. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing great, Connor. Great having me. Thank you. And anytime I get the chance to talk football, let's do it. I'm excited.
Yeah, and that's why we wanted to do this show. So a little bit about what this is going to be like. We're going to break down film. We're going to talk about some of the best teams in the state, get the coach's perspective on those top teams in the film. And then how we're going to start the show most weeks, the Who Says I Can't segment. That is where we interview a motivational figure in the football world. Rob, Who Says I Can't is your mantra. Why don't you fill us in a little bit about what that's all about?
Yeah, Who Says I Can't? It's always been a motivator mantra for me. I've been doubted, especially in the sports world. So I started as an announcer and wanted to become a broadcaster, and that's why I'm really excited and appreciative of this opportunity right here to be behind the scenes and behind a camera talking football. But I was doubted about being a coach, and it kind of fueled me, I guess you can say. So Who Says I Can't? Nobody was always kind of the response in my mind, and it could relate to a lot of others. Whatever you want to do in life, don't let yourself hold yourself back, and at the end of the day, create those goals and dreams, and you can overcome it with perseverance and patience as well.
Absolutely. So without further ado, here's our first ever Who Says I Can't segment. We're joined by Taft High School football coach Aron Gideon. Taft is located up north of Los Angeles in the San Fernando Valley. Aron, thank you so much for taking some time and being with us here on the inaugural episode.
Thank you very much to both of you for having me.
I want to start with this. Who Says I Can't? It's all about motivation. Your players haven't played a game here in California in over a year. How challenging has that been for you to keep guys on board, keep guys interested, keep people involved during this really difficult time?
It's been very challenging, as it has been at every high school in the nation. And it's really on multiple dimensions. So the mental aspect is the most difficult, because a lot of these kids are, like many of us, struggling with isolation. And it's especially difficult for them at their age, because they're at that stage of development where their social interaction and navigating all of that and having a connection with their peers is crucial. And I've seen that not just at Taft, but also with my own kids, because I'm a father of two teenagers. So that's been a real challenge. And then on top of that, of course, it's not the ideal way to learn, doing distance learning and virtual learning. And then there's the economic piece. And there are a lot of families that are struggling economically. And so all those things together have been just huge challenges. But at the same time, it's an opportunity for us as coaches to help them use this as a teachable moment and take it as a way to be able to learn how to deal with adversity, because it's not going away. Adversity is going to be a part of their life for a really long time. And so, you wouldn't necessarily wish these kinds of times on the kids, but that's what we try to do in our program. We try to use it as an opportunity and a teachable moment.
That's a good thing that you bring up adversity, Coach, because I think we can all learn through football what it takes to have a challenge in front of us, whether it's in practice or in a game. A lot of the times that, we're challenged in sport, I try to relate it to life. And I think it's very impactful more than any time in life right now, that when you're up against a block that you can't control, what are you going to do about it? So a lot of the times I tell my kids, if you can't really push the kid 3 or 4 yards back like we want you to drive them, take him where he wants to go. Adapt to the situation. And that's one of my favorite parts about football, is adapting to the situation and just trying to make the best of it. And right now, unfortunately, a lot of us are dealt 2-7. I play a little bit of poker, and we got to make the best of the decision, whether we fold, call, or raise. I think we got to feel in our gut feeling what's the best for the situation.
Well, I think in a selfish way, we're really fortunate to be able to coach and lead these young people.
Oh yeah,
because it obliges us to not give up, to not fold.
Yeah.
Aron, something you mentioned a little earlier, which really spoke to me. When you have Zoom workouts, the kids are happy to be there for the most part, but sometimes it's maybe the 15 minutes between watching film and doing a workout where you see kids being genuinely happy, which is something that they probably haven't been as happy as they're used to because of this. What does that mean to you, and how do you, just how happy does that make you that you're a small part of these kids' happiness during a really tough time?
Yeah, it's great to see that. It's great to give them an opportunity to connect with each other, because ultimately they're more tech savvy than we are, but they don't always take the impetus to connect with each other. And so in a way that gives us a little bit of a platform to do that. And going back to March, when we first had the shutdown, essentially, now we're at 10 months, we were one of those schools that said, okay, we're going to have virtual spring practice. And we've done that on and off over the course of these 10 months where, you're in there for a couple of hours in front of a computer screen, and we try to stagger it between offensive meetings and film with their position coaches, and then a workout in the middle, and then, the other side of the ball, the last part of those 3 parts. But yeah, like that little space of time, maybe 10 minutes of transition break time when they're getting a little snack after their workout before we go right back to the X's and O's, has become a really crucial thing for them. And in the summer, when it really seemed like a long stretch where they didn't even have class, a lot of them, to connect with each other, that's why we shifted gears. So instead of just kind of doing the same thing over and over and over, we had a stretch of time that we called the Taft Huddle, where it was all about trying to connect with your teammates. So we've been fortunate because we've had some people donate to our program, including the Rams. The Rams gave us some new gear for the kids, and it's still sitting in a box back at school. And so we use that as kind of a fun incentive for little competitions or themes that we had for the week. So for 1 week, it was Taft Trivia. And the kids who placed the highest in terms of knowing not just, well-known football players that come through the program, but other celebrities or people that are really accomplished, we used that. Another week it was the Taft Super Bowl bingo. What's that?
I was just going to ask you some of the questions of trivia.
Well, I'm still learning myself because I'm new to Taft, and Taft's had a lot of successful people go through. Obviously, football, you have Michael Thomas, and you have Antoine Woods, and you have, Steve Smith, Malcolm Smith, Jeff Fisher, the list goes on and on. But I actually had one of our alumni on the staff be the person that asked those questions. What's that?
I didn't know Michael Thomas Taft High School. That's pretty cool.
Yes, sir. Yes, he did. What I have to say is probably the most meaningful week we had was the Taft Football Art Exhibition. And
what does that entail?
So we just basically said, we gave them an open-ended question, and we said, use whatever format you want to express artistically what being a toreador means to you. And so we had one kid that wrote a haiku, another one wrote a poem. So one of the kids drew. And we had prizes for that too. And the coaches voted on the top 3 prize earners. And the number one was kids who did Minecraft of the campus and the athletic facilities. And they did a little video that recorded that tour that they had constructed. And it was just absolutely awesome. So you see how important that is for them, and you have to build that in, I think.
Yeah. That's awesome. I'm not too familiar with Minecraft, but we had a Madden tournament, which is very similar to everything that you're talking about. And any way that you can connect the kids just to get to know them and let them reveal who they are, and just, let them feel like they can just be themselves. I remember as a kid, whenever I was able to just be myself, I was at my best. And that's what I want my kids to be, is when they're themselves, they're probably their best. So I think the video games and just kind of interacting with what they're into and what we are into as young men too, is a great way to connect with the kids.
No question. I've seen a little bit of video of you playing Madden. I hope you didn't compete with the kids, because that wouldn't be a fair fight, Coach.
No, I'm sorry, Coach. I think I can take a lot of people in this. Whether
well, I don't think it's good for the kids' confidence. If you get in there and torch them, it's not good for them.
It's like challenge. So let me know. I play on PS4.
you torch me too, man. There's no way.
Guys, when we spoke off the air, another thing that I picked up on is that you both got into coaching for a lot of the same reasons, and you were able to connect because of that. And of course, every coach wants to win, but for both of you, it's very apparent that it goes a lot deeper than wins and losses, and it's about relationships and the 40 years instead of just the 4 years here in high school. And if you guys wanted to talk a little bit about that, I think our audience could really learn a lot.
Go ahead, Coach.
Well, that's originally why I became an educator a couple of decades ago. before that, I was a college coach. And a big reason was because as I was finishing my playing career at UCLA, and looking past that, was thinking about what an impact it had on me, because I came from a family of modest means. I was generally, most of my not career, but my education up until that point was in public school. And there were some people that took a chance on me, and it made all the difference. So I had an opportunity, and that's all you could really ask for as a walk-on at UCLA. And I can think of Coach Donahue, Coach Smith, Homer Smith, and Coach Kazarian all having a really meaningful impact on my life. And so that's what I thought I was going to be doing as a college coach. So I did that once I came back a year after graduation as a graduate assistant coach, and did that for 5 years, including St. Mary's College and Cal State Northridge. But it's a little bit different at the high school level because the developmental age that they're at. And so it's been a great opportunity for me to be able to work with kids from a lot of different backgrounds and a lot of different schools that I've been at, and provide that opportunity. I have a lot of respect for the coaching peers that we have at this level, at the college level, NFL level, but not everybody has the same priorities. And going all the way back in my mind to when I started first thinking about being a coach at whatever level, that to me is what I kind of assumed everybody was in it for, was to have a positive impact, to, be able to use football as a platform for kids to connect and learn from each other, but also teach them life lessons. That's not necessarily the case just because you're a high school coach.
Totally. I agree. Coach, I read up on a lot about you. That's so cool that you got to play, D1 football at UCLA. For me, it wasn't really playing. When I was growing up, it was a lot of just being included in anything, really. I was on the Little League baseball team. So, my dad always told me, don't feel sorry for yourself. And whether you can swing a bat or you can make the lineup or you can talk to people, include yourself in it, because, people are not going to just wait on others to be included. So a lot of the times that would be a great world if we can all really just be natural and say, you can be on my team, you can be on my team. The fact of the matter is we got to prove ourselves at some point in this world. And I think I had to prove a lot myself growing up, whether it was elementary, middle school, or high school. And it came a point where, I love sports. Growing up, I love baseball, hockey, and football. I tell everyone this: if I was raised in the East Coast, I'd be coaching hockey. I love hockey because of the fast pace of it, the physicality of it, the passion of it, everything involved. But football has everything involved in that as well. So I went towards football because my high school had a high school team. And at the end of the day, I'm a competitive guy. Whether it's on Madden, playing chess, whatever it is, I'm a competitive guy. So I think that all of us coaches can relate that we have some kind of competitive edge on ourselves. And we want to win. And when we say we want to win, I speak for a lot of good coaches when they say this. We want to win in the whole overall job. And for me, winning in the overall job is developing these minds and really just creating a team atmosphere. Because wherever you go, you're going to need people in life. Whether if you're going to be a CEO, you're going to need a team. Whether if you're an employee, you're going to need a team. How do you learn from working with people? Football is a great vehicle for me to really teach that. And I've been able to follow my love, which is sports and football. And football, as you guys know, is a very mindful sport. So I've been able to create, use my mind and create a lot of the offensive plays. So that's why I was drawn to the offensive side of the ball. But at the end of the day, I think inclusion really brought me to football. But inclusion has a lot of different ways other than football. So whether if you're in the band, whether if you're in soccer, whether if you're in tennis, if you get included in life, it gives you a lot of confidence. And that's what I want to give to my students is a self-confidence that you can do something. Whether if it's being quarterback, not everyone can be quarterback. I can be the first person to say I won't be the starting quarterback. But at the end of the day, you can find happiness in this world. And for me, I think I just led to the next step. And I wanted to include myself, and inclusion led me to realize that football has a lot of other opportunities for me to give that feeling to others. So I've just stuck with it year in, year, and I love football so much. The physicality, you learn a lot about yourself within the sport, and just stayed consistent with it. So I hope
You sure do. And our motto from day one, when I was offered the head job at Taft, was rise together. And so that is still our motto. That's what we emphasize, which has a lot to do with essentially the same message that you're talking about, Coach, inclusion, and saying, look, I can do this if I have support from other people and I believe in myself. And I mean, we're just so fortunate to be in that position. But there's real responsibility that goes with that.
There was a moment where inclusion actually brought a winning moment into our team. And not just because the kid was being nice. Starting running back got hurt. He was not available for the second half. He included his third string because the third string was really scared to get in the game. He was really nervous not to fumble. He included him by encouragement. He encouraged the third string because the second string already wanted the job. The second string was ready to go. The third string we had to rely on because we can't give the ball to one kid for 2 quarters straight. So the third string we had to rely on because the starter was out. The starter included him by just encouraging him. And, the kid only got 5 carries, but he gained about 50 yards for 5 carries, which is absolutely ridiculous. But that inclusion brought empowerment to that third stringer. And for me, that was a great moment as a coach to see the kids just encourage each other, because with discouragement, as you know, Coach, it'll bring a team down. And I think that inclusion led to encouragement, and encouragement led to success on my football team.
I would even argue, and we talk a lot about this kind of stuff in our program, that if you persist through huge obstacles, it can become an advantage for you.
Yeah.
And without knowing you well, Coach, I would say at this point, that has become, that story that you have and the persistence that you've had overcoming obstacles in your life is an advantage now, because you have instant credibility with the kids. And so, it definitely takes, some people in your life that resonate with you and say back to you, look, persist. And it takes a strong belief in yourself. And it's not always easy to see, but there are kids right now in the middle of what we're going through that are using this as not just a teachable moment, but an opportunity to differentiate themselves.
Hey, Coach, I had a question for you.
Yeah.
What's your football background? What position did you play? How did you get involved in the sport? Did it involve Pop Warner, or did you get involved in high school? What's your background?
I played tackle football starting when I was 9 years old in the Inland Empire. San Gabriel Valley is where I grew up. And, it's funny because I think back right now, there's some talk about Eric Bieniemy, the offensive coordinator for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Whether he's going to get a head coaching job. Well, I remember the first time I saw him on a Pop Warner field, and this guy who was kind of the community, I don't know, agent, recruiter, whatever. He was the guy that was connected to everybody in youth football. He goes, hey, look at that kid over there, Eric Bieniemy. He's going to be a star. And we played together at Bishop Amat. We were a year apart. And that was a great opportunity for me. My father also went to Bishop Amat, which is what I would consider a football school, where the way I would define it is if you have a good year or a good season as a football team, the school had a good year. So there's pressure that goes with that. But I grew up, being the first person in the stadium as a little kid on Friday nights, just waiting at the top of the bleachers at the 50-yard line, watching them go through this process. And I was superstitious. I wouldn't sit down the whole game. I felt like that would give them a better chance of winning. And then when we were there, we had a lot of guys that were, just big time players. We had 3 years in a row where we were undefeated and ranked number 5 in the country. And then once I went on from there as a relatively short offensive lineman, because that's what I played pretty much my entire life, as offensive line and defensive line. I had an opportunity to go to and play at a couple of Ivy League schools. So Harvard recruited me, Yale recruited me, but just like today, they don't give full athletic scholarships. And because our family filed for bankruptcy when I was in high school, just couldn't afford the price to go there. And so long story short, had an opportunity to be a walk-on at UCLA, and not just to give it a shot, but as an offensive lineman, they had 4 scholarship players that came in with my class, all on scout team my freshman year. And they didn't have a center. Well, I hadn't played center in high school either. But if it's going to give me a chance to play, I'll learn how to snap.
Yep.
And God,
Any way you
God
can
bless him.
contribute.
Yeah. So got a scholarship after a couple of years, was a starter for 2.5 years. And then was team captain the last year.
That's cool.
Was college coach for 5 years before I went to the high school level as a teacher and as a coach.
Coach at
I was at
UCLA?
Notre Dame High School in Chaminade.
Did you coach at UCLA?
I did. I was a graduate assistant coach for 2 seasons, working on the defensive side of the ball and special teams. And that started 1 year after I graduated, so it came right back.
Thank you so much to Coach Gideon for joining us for the Who Says I Can't segment. Rob, let's break down some film now. Noah Fifita, Servite High School quarterback class of 2022. I know this is one of your favorite things to do, break down film. Let's roll the tape and hear what Coach Rob has to say about one of the top QBs in SoCal. What do you like about Noah, Rob?
Noah, I like how he likes to go downfield. He's definitely going to challenge you downfield, and also, you know what? He's also going to be pocket presence, and he steps up the pocket nicely right there against Mission Viejo. And he doesn't give up on the play. He saw the one-on-one challenge on the side, so he took a shot downfield. He also recognizes the separation on the outside right there, which as a coach I love to do. Really like to use those quick outs. But as you can see, Noah has a strong arm, and he likes to push it vertical.
And what I like about what you said off the air, this was his sophomore season, and he's making some really impressive reads for a kid that age.
Yeah, I mean, I coach JV football, and I can tell you firsthand. Usually, it doesn't, happen until about junior or senior year that they're understanding, the flat defender, low to high reads and things like that. But you can see he's already starting at a young age, and he's starting to really get the game at an early start. And as a sophomore, getting experience at the varsity level, it's only going to, progress him. So
Noah has Division I scholarship offers from Cal as well as Arizona. Despite his 5'10" size, we're seeing in the NFL you can be smaller and play the quarterback position at a really high level. Does that make you nervous at all, having a smaller quarterback?
No, I mean, for me, I did have a shorter quarterback this year, and what I like to do was roll them out. And I saw that Servite does roll out their quarterback a lot. But at the end of the day, you got Russell Wilson, you got Drew Brees for a long time, who wasn't as mobile as a lot of these guys. So I think height is definitely, misperceived in the quarterback position. It's about perseverance. A lot of the time it's leadership too. Your character will carry your huddle. For me as a coach, I see that in a lot of players. But one thing that separates the quarterback position is they become the coach in the huddle. And it's a lot of pressure on that kid for them to hold, and it's you see that in no matter what, whether if they're 5'6" or 6'3", I think they can overcome a lot of their height challenges, I guess you could say.
And we're about to see Noah take off here. New offensive coordinator Sean Coley, coming over from Bishop Amat High School, is going to ask Noah to run a little bit more this year. What are the benefits of a dual threat quarterback, especially when he can throw it as well as Noah can?
Yeah, I mean, I know when I like to run the quarterback a lot, what we call it is RPOs, and a lot of the times is that you can really capitalize on just putting a linebacker into the running back pressure. So if he's stepping up, what I tell my quarterback to do is key in on one player, and it's usually the outside backer. So if he's going to step up for the run, it's going to be even an easier pass, because what the receiver's going to do is usually replace him. So it just makes it a double threat when you're able to run the ball and also pass the ball that effective. So, I mean, it's just going to be to his advantage. So I can't wait to see what Servite does in his junior and senior year.
Yeah, I hope we get a spring season here in Southern California. If we do, the number one team in the state, Rob, St. John Bosco, the Braves, they won it all a year ago. Got a great shot to do it again if we have the spring season. If we got to wait until the fall, they'll still be loaded. They're that kind of team. I want to talk about them a little bit in our final segment where we discuss some of the top teams in the state. You're a coach. How do you replace a great quarterback? Say at the JV level, your quarterback goes on to the varsity level. DJ Uiagalelei, the St. John Bosco quarterback, went from the Braves now to Clemson. We saw him a little bit this past college football season. How do you replace a guy of that stature? You have a little bit of experience with this at the JV level. It's really challenging to replace a quarterback. What's in store for them this year?
Yeah, it just shows how important it is to really develop and focus on your freshmen and sophomores, throughout the whole program from bottom to top. So, I've been in systems where, the JV level is really strong, and it really shows also at the varsity level from, freshman to senior class. So you just really got to be consistent. I think when you have consistency, throughout the whole program. It'll show from your JV quarterback all the way to your varsity quarterback. And a lot of the times, I think continuity is huge too, because from what I've seen is when we run our summer practices, we'll run our seniors with the JV team as well. It's great to see, the seniors taking leadership in that, group of quarterback drills and things like that. So there's a lot that goes into it, but it's a lot of that consistency. And I think St. John Bosco's got that program. I mean, I was looking up YouTube videos earlier on and watching their practice, and they got a whole system there. And I really appreciated how high tempo, and I just saw how good of energy they got going throughout their practice. So.
Absolutely. And speaking to head coach Jason Negro over there, their offense, it's going to look a little bit different this year, as it would anytime you lose a quarterback of that stature and DJ. They're going to run the ball a lot more. So it's a whole philosophical change. Rayshawn Luke, Jabari Bates, their two great junior running backs, are going to have big seasons. As a coach, how tough is it to philosophically change what you did the year before based on your personnel changes?
In football, what I always tell my team, it's about sacrifice and whatever's going to be the best for the team. So if we need to go to a running offense or a running attack, and if that's going to be the best way that we're going to beat this team, or if it's going to give us the best chance to beat our opponent, then let's all put our egos aside and let's run the ball. I mean, I love to throw the ball as an offensive-minded coach. Trust me, I love those big plays, those big home run plays, but sometimes, it's not there. So you got to take what the defense gives you, and really understanding your system, whether if you need to run the ball one week or if you need to pass the ball the other. I think just being ready for whatever you need to do is going to be the best advice any team can go for. Yeah.
My final point, Rob, today, I want to end the show with this. St. John Bosco, they have the 5 stars, the 4 stars, so much big talent.
Yeah.
When I'm talking to head coach Jason Negro the other week, he mentions his tight end, Adam Aweda, who's a kid who has some recruiting interest for sure, but he's not one of those big-time, heavy hitter, 5-star, can't-miss type prospects. He had some major plays in their playoff run a year ago. Mm-hmm. How important is the tight end at the high school level? Because St. John Bosco has 2 great tight ends in Adam Aweda and Mateo Uyangalele this season. I don't really see any other high schools, maybe even in America, who have that kind of tight end depth. We see how important it is in the NFL. Quarterbacks are becoming more and more important at the high school level, being able to spread the ball around and toss it. Of course, they're always important, but it's looking more like an NFL style. Tight ends are seen in the NFL. Is this tight end kind of revolution, do you think it's going to stick in high school a little bit? Do you like to get the tight ends involved? Give me some tight end talk here.
You know what? The tight end position is the most dynamic position on the field. And, it's evolved this year, over the last, 20 years into more of a passing, route running position. What I like to do is label the tight end in my playbook as an H-back, and he thinks of it as a hybrid. So sometimes we'll have him at the wing, and he needs to kick out that DN for a power play on the ground, or if we need him to flex out and run a go route. It's great to have that multi-dimensional player athlete on the field where you can trust him to go downfield, also take on a defensive end on a block. So tight end, I love using the tight end, whether if it's going to be a run or a pass play. And having 2 of them, I mean, that's dynamic.
Watch out.
So, yeah, watch out for that. That's just a double threat on both sides. And, I can't wait to see once we get football back here in California how St. John Bosco is going to use these 2 tight ends.
Yeah, we'll certainly be watching a lot of their games. He's the coach, Rob Mendez, ESPY Award winner. I'm Connor Morrissette. We'll see you next week.